Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, it's the Joe Cortez Show.
Hello and welcome to the Joe Cortez Show here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the boxing capital of the world, and of course, as you all know, the entertainment capital of the world. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that there's not talked much about, female in boxing. And I think that women in boxing deserve as much credit as the males in boxing, because I mean, it's good to see some of these female fighters out there. And my co-host today, Dylan May, who will talk a little bit about females in boxing, being that you've been doing a little homework on them, and now you get to see what boxing is all about when it comes to females in the ring.
Yes, I have, and I think that they should be honored and talked about. And so we're going to talk, first of all, about the first female boxer. Her name was Barbara Buttrick.
Barbara what?
Barbara Buttrick.
Buttrick?
Yes.
Buttrick.
Yes.
Okay.
That is her name.
Okay. So was she a magician or what? I mean, Buttrick.
I think it's just the spelling.
Oh, okay.
I do. I just think it's the spelling.
But that was back what year?
1954.
Wow.
And she was a petite little thing. She was only 4 feet 11 inches and 98 pounds, so 98 really pounds. Tiny.
98 pounds. I know some people that when they were born, they were 98 pounds. She was fighting at 98 pounds?
98 pounds in 1954.
That's not even a division today at 98 pounds.
It isn't?
No, I mean...
well, wait a second. Even for females?
No. I mean, I met a fighter. Remember, we met the kid from South Africa.
But that's a male.
Yeah, but
maybe
still,
in the female
he's a
division.
105-pound champion. That's
I know.
That's a mini flyweight. You don't go lower than that in the pros.
Tiny,
and she was 98 pounds.
98 pounds,
in 1954.
Yes. Correct.
Wow.
Well, we have, now we have McDonald's, so that changes things for people.
So anyway, so tell me.
This is the great Buttrick.
Okay. Buttrick.
This is the best part. She was the first female boxer on national TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
They had back in '54, if I recall my memory, there was only black and white.
Black and white. Maybe
TV.
even the small little TVs.
Black and white. I remember putting the plastic on the black and white TV to make it look like color. They had the blue on the top and the bottom of the plastic. You put it on your screen so you could think you're watching color.
Well, there you go. You were the first to do that.
No, it also
and
the way
it didn't inspire you to create the TV with color?
But talking about colors, when I dream, sometimes I wake up, I say, did I dream in color or black and white? And some people say, I never thought about that. But so I said, I dream in color.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good
for sure.
You're a colorful kind of guy.
That's it.
So they didn't have a lot to say about Barbara, but you know what? She inspires me because she was one of the first.
Right.
Okay, so she's a pioneer. Mm-hmm. And then we go to Eva Shane. Now, Eva Shane, she was a pioneer in judging. Okay. The first female judge. And her husband was a ring announcer. His name was Frank Shane. Okay. And her first fight, now I'm going to look at notes a little bit because, there's a lot of statistics, so I have to give you the facts, and they all came from BoxRec. Just to give, what is it called? Endorsement. Okay. Endorsements. Okay, so November 28th, 1975 was her first fight that she judged. This is Eva Shane. And it was against Vito Anafirmo and Bruce Cantrell.
Right.
Okay. Now, her last fight was on December 5th in 1998, and that was against, with Johnny Tapia. And, this is a harder one to say, Nana Canadu.
Yeah, he's
yes, indeed.
An African fighter, yes.
Yes. So she had a good career as well.
She had a good career. I knew her personally. She was from Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Yes.
And at the time I was living in Hackensack, New Jersey, and every so often I would go, they would invite me for dinner at their home in Fort Lee.
Nice.
They live in a nice big high rise right a couple of miles before you hit the George Washington Bridge in New Jersey.
Okay.
In that beautiful town, Fort Lee. So I always said to myself, wow, they are a nice couple. I remember watching them always refereeing. I mean, when I was refereeing, she would be a judge and her husband would be the ring announcer. She was a redhead and he was all good-looking white hair. And I used to always look at them. When I turned pro, as a matter of fact, I went up to her and said, Eva, I just got approached by the New York State Athletic Commission to become a referee. She said, Joe, you've only been refereeing 6 months in the amateurs.
Wow.
They're not going to give you any work. I said, but I remember talking to her for advice, and she said, Joe, I recommend you don't do it. And my gut feeling when I went to the commission, I said, I took it. I became a referee.
So you didn't listen to her recommendation?
I should have, but I didn't. And you know what? It's a blessing in disguise that I didn't listen to her.
Right.
Because, the rest is history. But she's one that I went up to and say, Eva, I was just starting out in the amateurs 6 months. And she said, Joe, why not? You give it a shot and see what happens. Maybe, but make sure you get work. And they gave me work for the first couple of years, 4 rounds and 6 rounds, to develop my ring mechanics and my skills and experience. But it was her who I went up to for advice at the beginning.
Huh.
And may she rest in peace. She was an excellent judge, and she was one of the female judges also to judge one of Muhammad Ali's fights. That's how well respected she was in the boxing world. So she had over 100 world championship fights, and Frank Shane was a character in his own world. He was just the nicest guy you want to meet, and a very, very professional ring announcer.
Well, maybe she was just going to miss you, sitting maybe side by side with her when you were judging fights. Yeah. But they sounded like a striking couple when they walked in the ring. And you also knew Tony and Carol, is that correct?
Tony and Carol Castellano.
Yeah.
They were also. She was also probably the second female judge in boxing, and she was out there. And Tony Castellano, and after over 30 years of judging and refereeing, actually they were judging, and he was. They both had over 100 championship fight. They moved out to Las Vegas, and she got her license here in Vegas. But Tony, for some reason or another, they never gave him a license, unknown reason. But she judged out here. He passed away first, and then she passed several years later. But they were outstanding judges, both of them. Tony Carol Castellano.
Nice. Nice. Now we're going to move to the boxers. Now what makes these boxers really special is...
Female boxers.
Well, yes, we had prefaced that, but yes, the female boxers for today that we're going to speak about. You were the referee in not all of their fights, but each one of these boxers that we're going to speak about today, Joe was actually a referee, at least in one of their fights. Is that correct?
Well, at least one of the fights when they fought each other. I believe it was Laura Serrano, Christy Martin, I'm not sure, but I got to referee Christy Martin numerous occasions, Laura Serrano several occasions.
Layla Ali.
Layla Ali and Layla McCarter.
Right.
And I remember, of all of them, who the two most popular was Christy Martin, who used to always come out in his pink trunks, pink robes, and that was outstanding when she came out like that. And she had the pink gloves, and she was they call her Christy, the coal miner's daughter.
That's right.
She was known as that.
And
there's a picture of Christy Martin raising her gloves up at a pink robe.
And those are her red gloves, I believe.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why we have pink gloves today that you can sign for females. Who knows? Maybe she started that.
Well, that people say that women in boxing, and probably somebody came out like the companies, either it's a Title or Everlast or Reyes, they have these pink gloves. It's good because they're good for women.
Absolutely.
I sure don't want to fight with pink gloves. they're good, meant for females.
That's right. That's right. So the coal miner's daughter, Christy Martin, we're going to start with her, and she had a total of 59 fights. 49 of those were wins, and 31 of them, 31 were KOs.
Okay.
7 losses and 3 draws.
Right.
Now we'll get to the draws in a minute. All right.
Draws?
The draws. Yes.
The draw in a fight. Okay.
Yes. She was considered one of the most successful and prominent female boxers in history.
Right. She was.
She was, and probably still is.
Don King, was a big, prominent. He was the headline as far as promoters are concerned.
Yes.
And he would give her these big purses, a couple of $100,000, $300,000, $400,000 per fight.
Wow.
And that was big money for boxing, not only for female, but for a male getting $300,000-$400,000 for a fight. That was big money. So she was fighting a lot of the undercards on the Mike Tyson fights.
Oh yeah.
They had sellout crowds, and they came to watch her. But we talked about those draws that she had.
Oh, don't go there yet. We have to talk a little bit about who she was, okay? But don't worry, I'm going to get to it.
Yeah.
She was also legitimized for women's boxing. And at 21 years old, that's when she started her boxing career. And then 1989, she fought Angela Buchanan. Do you remember that fight?
That was the beginning of her career, her debut event.
That was her debut.
I don't recall that fight, but I remember watching her many times on television.
Okay.
And of course, me refereeing her on numerous occasions, three, four, 5 times, who knows how many times.
That's
I refereed her. All those fights I refereed of her were here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay. Her status where she was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, that happened after the fight with Deidre McGarty. And she fought, that fight was considered to be her best fight ever. That's why she ended up on the cover.
Yeah, Sports Illustrated. Anybody, any male, anybody ends up, I don't care if you're somebody just coming up in anything, you're front cover of a magazine, you're important.
Absolutely.
In other words, you're a household name, which is what she was.
She
Christy,
was.
the coal miner's daughter.
Yes. And in 2003, that was when she experienced a draw, and that was against Layla Ali in 2003.
I think it was Laura Serrano, maybe?
No, that 2003 was Layla Ali.
Okay. So,
And it was the 4th round KO.
oh,
Yeah,
she got stopped
she did.
by Layla Ali.
She sure did.
Okay, but-
yes, indeed.
Okay, but going back a little bit further back, when she fought Laura Serrano,
Yes.
you want to talk about her now, or you want to keep on with Layla
Well, we
Ali?
can. Well, I was going to finish telling
Okay.
all the statistics about Christy Martin
Okay.
because she actually got in 2016. This is really special to us because we just opened the brick and mortar for the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame.
Right.
And in 2016, Christy Martin was actually the first female inductee into the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm going to take off my hat off to her because she has made great accomplishments in boxing. And I remember when they used to have her fight, people say, Joe, how does it feel you being a referee for these females in the ring? You know, and she would get caught up, sometimes bruised up with some of these female fighters.
Kind of bad.
But you know what? She was always in shape. I knew that she came to fight and she could handle herself. I would consider them like a male. If you want to fight and you're conditioned, you can dish it out and take it and so, come back like a real champion. She reminded me of some of those Rocky movies where, getting all beat up and she comes back at the end and knocks you out. But, I don't like to see anybody, whether male or female, get punched around. But she would get punched around, and I wasn't quick to stop her because I knew what she had. She had the heart of a lion.
Yeah.
And she really gave you your money's worth. That's why she got so much attention and being in the front cover of these sports magazines because of her abilities and her willing to be a fighter like a male. And she really revolutionized women in boxing.
I believe she did. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. So let's go to Laura Serrano. She's 51 years old. And, can you help me with this? It's Spanish, which I am learning, but I want to make sure that we say this correctly.
La poeta.
La poeta.
Poeta.
Poeta. That means poet in the ring.
That's
and
right.
that's her nickname.
La poeta.
I like that. That's
La
beautiful.
La poeta del ring.
She's the poet in the
poet
ring.
of the ring.
Okay.
Yeah, so she must have been talking a lot when she was in the ring, I guess.
Or maybe her moves were just very poetic.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, she was very special because check this out. She had a total of 25 fights. 17 of those are wins, 6 knockouts, 4 losses, and 2 draws. We'll
draws.
speak about that draw in just a second, but here's the great thing about Laura. She was actually going to school to be a lawyer.
Right.
And she started boxing because she just wanted to stay in shape and lose a little bit of weight and fall in love with the sport.
Right.
I love that. And the fact that it was just so important to her, yes.
Yeah, but she was studying law. And,
Right.
and female boxing in Mexico was outlawed.
Right.
And her being a lawyer, she said, no, I'm going to fight this.
Oh, wow,
You know?
that's
And
such great stuff
defended,
to know.
She defended herself. She told me this story. She defended herself fighting against the commissions who said, no, women cannot fight. Women are banned in boxing. And she knew in herself that she had it in her to be a fighter. She said, no, it's not right. So she was a lawyer. She defended herself. And you know what? She won. She made boxing legal in Mexico.
Right.
But she wanted to fight here in the United States, and she had a trainer and a manager, but they couldn't make it out. So she came out on her own to Las Vegas and got to a local gym, and somebody started training her. That's why she had the skills. And her first professional fight was with none other than
Christy Martin. And that was in 1994.
And that was at the MGM Hotel, a big sellout crowd. And you know what? She ended up with a draw for her first pro fight,
Sure did.
championship fight. Unheard of. I mean, you hear about like Conor McGregor to fight Floyd Mayweather, his first pro fight, but Conor McGregor's already been established. You know,
Yes.
and but she made history by, coming to Vegas and taking on the toughest one.
Right.
Nobody wanted to fight Christy Martin. She said, "I'll fight her. I'll fight her." And if you look at go on YouTube and put Christy Martin versus Laura Serrano, you'll see what a fighter she was and what a beating she gave Christy Martin, and ended up in a draw. But if you look at the faces, you know who really won the fight.
And she also wears a lot of pink.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah, but I tell you, Christy Martin is a dear friend, and she knows she was in a tough fight that night. I told her many times, that Christy, wow, you had your hands full that night. She said, Joe, let's not even talk about it. But it was that kind of a fight. But Christy Martin definitely was a superstar in boxing and gave the world, the fans, the boxing fans, their money's worth every time she fought. That was for sure.
Okay, good to know.
Because you know what? Don King was smart. He says, if my main event is a quick knockout because Mike Tyson was knocking guys out in one round, he said, but I want to give the fans an explosive night of boxing. And they know they're going to get that with Christy Martin.
Right.
Win or lose, she gave it her best.
So that helped those seats not be so empty before the main event, so they filled up sooner?
Well, yeah, that's true. But the thing was is that most of the fights that Mike Tyson were on, a lot of them were pay-per-view, and they were big, mega, they're high-profile fights. And then when people say, what a boring night of boxing, Mike Tyson won this one for 30 seconds, it was over. What was the undercard?
Leading up.
And that's why the undercard's got to be sometimes, even today, the promoter, when they put on these fights, they want a good undercard because that's what sells tickets. Not only the main event, but the undercard. People say, I want to sit there, and have my beers and do some gambling in the casino, but I know I'm going to have boxing, a good night of boxing. Whether it's male or female, they knew that with Christy Martin. People say, wow, have you seen that woman? Man, she's something else. Wow, she's like a Wonder Woman. She could do anything in that ring. She can outshine some of the best fighters out there, and she did.
She did.
Yeah.
She did. Back to Laura. She had a foot injury, and that foot injury took her, and in 1999, she made her comeback in Mexico, and she became one of Mexico's famous boxing women.
Yeah. Well, she definitely had a lot to give for boxing.
And she won her last two title fights, were 10-round fights. Did you know that? And those 10-round fights were in Las Vegas, right here in our little heart of town. So then we have Layla Ali. Now, Layla Ali, what makes Layla really, really special is obviously she has that famous dad, Muhammad. And she's not the only female fighter who had some famous fathers who were in the arena. That was also George Foreman and Joe Frazier.
Right.
Okay. So Layla's 41 years old right now, and she took on her dad's persona, and her nickname is She Be A Stingin'. I love that.
She Be A Stingin'.
She Be A Stingin'. I mean, you could almost make a song out of that.
Well, She be a stinging you with the butt tricks.
There you go.
She's a good fighter. Anyway, the thing is,
now let me.
people ask questions about Thurman and Pacquiao. Pacquiao, no, they're coming up July 20th. We're here today to talk about females in boxing, but I like Pacquiao over Thurman. It'll be a great fight. But watch me on the Favorite Firm Show Monday. Next Monday, you see me talking about the Thurman and Keith Thurman and Manny Pacquiao. It's going to be a great fight. And I say Pacquiao, who's been a champion for close to 2 decades, and is one of the outstanding fighters. But watch that next Saturday, July 20th, here in Las Vegas from the MGM Arena. A big fight on pay-per-view. Don't miss it.
Well, and just to add to that, there's going to be a big event on the 19th over at the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame.
Correct.
For that fight.
For that fight, yeah.
More to come on both of our Facebook pages.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, on the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. .com. You go in there and see they have the induction August 9th and the 10th here at the Red Rock Hotel Resort Casino. There'll be the 7th annual Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame induction.
But the party before the big fight is what I was talking about. Absolutely.
Before July 20th, the 19th, they're definitely going to have an event at the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame at the Boulevard Mall here on Maryland Parkway. That's July.
Inside Heads Up.
At the Heads Up Museum, the Trick Art Museum. Within the Trick Art Museum, you have the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. And You go online and see for your ticket pricing. It's going to be very reasonable. And a big night of champions. You come there. It's an interactive museum where you can actually put on the gloves, hit the heavy bag, hit the speed bag, move around in the ring if you like for photos. But that's the opening of the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame took place on June 22nd of last month, and now we're looking forward for the event coming up.
That's true.
Okay, so let's
Now,
go with female in
Layla
boxing.
Ali, she retired
Yes.
undefeated.
Okay.
All right. And she had a total of 24 fights, which of course means 24 wins.
Right.
21 of those were KOs.
Right.
And then no losses. And then she had a couple draws.
Yeah.
So she is a super middleweight and a light heavyweight when she retired.
Right.
She began boxing at 18 years old. 18.
That's right.
I know, but for a female, that seems a bit young.
Yeah.
Okay. Her dad wasn't quite so happy about it, but she, you know who inspired her? Christy Martin.
Christy Martin.
Christy Martin was her inspiration for boxing.
You would think it would be her father, eh?
I know, you did.
Who was the greatest? I am the greatest. You mess with me, you go in 3.
No, actually, her father was, well, that was a good comment that he used to make, but her father was feeling like it was a little too dangerous for her.
Yes.
So she also had a battle with, they thought she was going to have a battle with George Foreman's daughter, Frida, but instead it was with Joe Frazier's daughter, Jackie.
Jackie.
And
That was a pay-per-view event,
that
too?
was the first pay-per-view. The first. So now we have her on pay-per-view, and that's pretty exciting. Now, she also owned, remember, she started boxing at 18. Before boxing, she owned a nail salon, okay? So she started young, learning how to take care of herself and be in business.
And she's still a beauty today. You see
Oh,
today.
she's beautiful, yes,
beautiful.
indeed.
She looks like a model today.
Yes, she
very,
does.
Very happily married, beautiful children. And every time you see her, you say, wow, you look at her, you say, like, you can't just think only, wow, she reminds me so much. She looks like a dad in a way, and she has a charm about her, a charisma about her, just like she did with her dad.
She does.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah.
She was last year, the first child of a boxer inducted into the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame.
Of which they were both inducted.
So now they've both been inducted, exactly. But she was the first. So we have Christy was the first female. She was the first child of someone who's been in the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the first female in boxing, though, going back again, 1954, the Barbara butt trick.
Yes, indeed.
Was she a magician?
She might have been. I don't know. I didn't meet her.
Anybody with a name of butt trick, I don't know.
Sure could have been.
Anyway.
And now we have Layla McCarter. Layla is 40 years old. She is just such a great gal. I spoke with her. She's actually going to be on our show at some point. She's really excited about it, but right now she's doing some traveling with her family.
Right.
And but she lives right here in Las Vegas, just like you and I do.
And she's still active.
She is still active, yes.
A lot of fighters don't want to fight because they know when they go into the ring with her, it's like going in there with Chrissy Martin. They're gonna get, a pounding. At least they're gonna know because she's so well experienced. She knows how to throw. She knows she can take care of business. She knows how to handle herself, and her boyfriend is a trainer, and they are definitely. Really, she's a crowd pleaser, that's for sure.
Yes, yes. Well, she's the same age as Manny Pacquiao. So there you go.
That's 40 years of
40 years young.
40 years young, and she still has a lot going for her.
She does. Her nickname is Amazing.
Right.
So she's a lightweight. She's had a total of 58 fights, 40 wins, 10 KOs, 13 losses, and 5 draws. And she also did a little kickboxing in her day.
Right.
Yeah. And in 2016, Ring Magazine considered her to be the 10th greatest female boxer of all time.
Layla McCarter.
Layla McCarter.
Wow.
And in 2017, she too was inducted into the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And you know what else? She recently signed to be the second female that Mayweather Promotions has signed. I think that's pretty inspiring.
Yeah, it is very inspiring. And, boxing these days is not only for male, but there are a lot of fans out there and a lot of female fans that love boxing. I always say, how come they don't give the females more attention? Well, that's why we're doing this, because we hear that so often on the Faber Firm show that I do every Monday. And next Monday, we're going to be talking again at the Faber Firm Show, and we'll be talking about the Manny Pacquiao. And we have
It's fight week next week.
Yeah, fight week next week, and I know that my co-host John and myself, we'll be talking about the Manny Pacquiao fight. That's a big week of boxing, and we're going to make sure we give our fans a lot of plugs about that Manny Pacquiao, who's one of the greatest in the history of boxing.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. So.
Yeah. And what else we want to wrap it up with today?
Well, let's wrap it up with what brought you into boxing?
Well, you know, the great Gaspar Edith Ortega from Tijuana, Mexico, came up to New York in 1955. And I was a young kid, 12 years of age, and he moved right next door to me. And he's the one that inspired me to become a boxer along with my brother Mike. And at the age of 16, my brother and I both won the Golden Glove Championship, novice championship in Madison Square Garden. I remember watching and going into Madison Square Garden at the age of 16. I was always being bullied while in school and in grammar school and in my neighborhood in Spanish Harlem. I was always running away when I see a group of guys coming my way. I'm by myself. I would always run because they would beat me up or whatever. And I got tired of that. And I joined the Boys Club of New York. So I'm a product of the Boys Club of New York. And that's when I got into the Golden Gloves. My brother Mike got into the Golden Gloves. And we took the championships in Madison Square Garden. Then the same year, I won the Spanish Golden Glove Championship. Then the following year, my brother Mike again and I went, and we went for the Open Championship. We became the only brothers ever to win the New York Golden Glove Championships 2 consecutive years. There was another set of brother twins, the Spinaco twins, 2 Greek fighters out of New York. They were both attorneys, good guys, and they're still doing very well today. And they were another set of brothers that would win the Golden Gloves of New York. But
They were attorneys then?
No, no.
Oh.
They became attorneys after, and I probably retired as attorneys today. But I ran into them several times. And then I won my brother and I, the same year in 1961, we took the Eastern Golden Glove Championships in Madison Square Garden. And I was the only fighter, or the last fighter, to knock out 2 guys in Madison Square Garden the same night. So that was pretty impressive, and I was only a bantamweight. But these were a tournament of champions. Everybody was a champion. These guys very well educated. They knew boxing. They were men. I was a young kid coming up. I was only 17. But then my brother and I went to Chicago that same couple of weeks later to fight for the national championships. It was called the New York versus Chicago tournament. And that was sponsored by the Chicago Tribune. Every other year they would alternate back to New York. It was sponsored by New York Daily News. So it was a tournament. The last year was 1961, so we got into our last year. My brother Mike and I took the National Golden Glove Championships at the old Chicago Stadium. My brother Mike beat a gentleman by the name of Tommy O'Shea, of which I had lunch with here in Vegas several years back. And I fought a guy named Oscar German, who was on the same team with Muhammad Ali.
Wow.
And they told me, Joe, you're fighting one of the toughest guys on the Chicago team. He was like 25 years of age. I was a young kid, still in diapers, 17 years old, coming into the amateurs for the nationals. But I won that championship as well. And then I turned pro when I was 18. So I just want to say to folks out there, it kept me out of the gangs. I never touched any drugs. And sometimes you have these individuals that get into the drugs, and I feel sorry. I look at people, and I can see that they're not right. And that's why boxing teaches you that discipline. It keeps you focused on the right track. And I'm still learning. Even today, Dylan, I'm still learning. There's so much in life that we have to learn.
Absolutely.
Just when you think you know it all, something new comes up. You don't know it all. We always learn. I like to listen. I like to take advice to make sure that if I make some mistakes, we're all normal. We're going to make mistakes, but we try to minimize the mistakes. But we learn from our own mistakes. That makes us better. That's why I can talk with some knowledge and wisdom and try to get my message across to help people out there. My thing is paying it forward, helping people, just like you're doing now. And I've done with Dylan. So I try to help people to get them on the right track. And pretty soon we're going to have Dylan with her daughter doing their own show.
Moving forward.
Moving forward. You see that? So that's where we go. So fans, with that said, thank you for listening in on our show today for the special show. Dylan, thank you. Say a couple of goodbye words before we shut up.
Well, I'm thrilled that we got to be a part of this show today and teach each and every one of you about boxing.
Right, exactly.
And females.
Take care. God bless. Talk to you soon.